Hi, this is Chris Henry. I am the Southern Gospel Gardener, and thanks for joining us today on episode 5. Today we're going to look at some plants that I really enjoy. I like them. They're called agapanthus. They're usually evergreen throughout the season, but they have great flowers around June. We're going to be looking for some agapanthus that have really good color in them. Also, I'm going to give you a few tips on some other plants and how to care for them. And of course, today we always talk about a Southern Gospel group. Today's Southern Gospel group will be Legacy 5, probably the most popular group out here on the West Coast here in California, Legacy 5. We'll talk about their roots, where they started from, of course, the cathedrals, and we'll also talk about their members, where they are today. Yeah, one more thing. We're going to need to go down to the gardening center and find our plants. Here we are at the garden center. And this is just the plant that I was looking for. It's called the lily of the Nile. The technical name is the agapanthus. So what we want to do is grab one of these, get the one that's going to have a nice color. I want one that's kind of a dark purple, and we can take this to our yard. And you know, this is something that's going to look. Hold on. I think I might see somebody you might know over here. What? Dude, hey, it's Glen Dustin from Legacy 5.
Oh, well, hey,
Glen,
Southern
man.
Gospel Gardener. How are you, man?
Good to see you here.
Well, I wanted one of them Magellan Gisenias.
Yeah?
It's my wife's anniversary, and mine too.
Oh, good.
And so I was gonna get her a Magellan Gisenia, and I saw this dodo bird, and I thought I would get that, and then I noticed one of these big spit cups, because she's still dipping a lot, and I thought I'd give her that too, and maybe it'll all go together.
Get some soil and put the.
Yeah.
What'd you call that again? What was it?
A Magellan Gisenia.
All right. So that'll go well with the spit cup.
So you can put it all in there.
Yeah, that'll look good.
Blend right in.
That's perfect. How about that, folks? See, Southern Gospel Gardener doesn't have all the answers. So we got our plant here. We're going to head back to the house and put this in. Well, we'd like to pay for. Dude, Glenn, what are you still doing here?
I was trying to siphon some gas out of here for my wife's electric corn remover. See, she got this corn that's real bad on her choke. That thing sticks out like a thumb sometimes. So if I can just get her some gas, we can get that taken care of.
All right. Take it easy.
Take care.
So here we are on the south side of my backyard. And over here we've got some ivy and some shrubs, low-growing shrubs. And the reason we have it low-growing is because we've got this wrought iron fence, and behind us we've got some beautiful oak trees and the Tuolumne River. So we don't want to put up anything that's going to be bigger than that because we don't want to block the view. So right here we've got a shrub that looks like it's been here for quite some time and hasn't done a whole lot. So we're going to replace this with something that'll give us some color in the summer months. Now right now you can see the Vinca minor. It is growing. It does have beautiful bluish purple flowers. And I do love this, so we're going to have to work around this. Also, we've got some watering lines. We're going to need to move these out of the way before we pull this plant out. Now, as you know, Legacy 5 started over 10 years ago, around the year 2000, with the cathedrals. Called it quits. George Younts and Glen Payne had decided they're going off the road. Of course, Glen Payne didn't make it to the end of the road. He passed away before the cathedrals officially retired. But the cathedrals did retire, and from that group came Scott Fowler and Roger Bennett. They formed a group called Legacy 5. What a great quartet they've been throughout these years. And of course, as you know, Roger Bennett is no longer with us. In 2007, he passed away from cancer. And of course, Roger Bennett was, I considered him a good friend. And if you'd like to see a good Roger Bennett tribute after this video, you can stay on YouTube and just type in Roger Bennett Tribute. And look for the one made by me, the Disney Gator name. But Legacy 5 has definitely carried on the legacy of the cathedrals very well. Hi, Mickey. Move along. Thank you. So right here, we're going to take this shrub, and I'm giving it a good tug, and it feels like it's about ready to come out. right here. This is called a Peter Pan agapantha. Peter Pan blue is what they call it. Now, I don't know why they call it Peter Pan blue. Peter Pan never wore blue. He wore green. And the flowers that come out on the Peter Pan agapanthus aren't really blue. They are very intense, dark purple. I've been looking for these plants for a long time. I've seen them in folks' yards and I love them. And so I wanted to get some in my own yard. What I like about this is once I put it in the ground, this will stay low. And the only time that the stems come up, the stems will be about this high. But they're very thin, and at the top they've got the beautiful purple, deep purple colors, which is what we want. So it'll accent the background, the river and the oak trees behind us. It won't block any of the view. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to dig out this hole, and we're going to listen to a little bit of Legacy 5 right now. One of my favorite songs right there, called Joy, and that was from probably my favorite album of all time, not of Legacy 5, but of all Southern Gospel music, the London album by Legacy 5. What a great, just a great album. Every song on there is lyrically spiritual, right? It's lyrically right on. The music is fantastic. The singing is awesome, and I just can't find a better album out there. I haven't yet, and it's been out for 8 or 9 years now. That's how good of an album it is. And that was my favorite cut. Of course, it's also has I Found Grace on it, which was their single from that album. That was a great song. But Joy, what a great song. Heard that in concert before. I heard it on the album, and it was just an incredible experience. So we've got this hole dug right now, and what we want to do is always don't dig the hole to where your plant can just fit down in it. What you're going to want to do is fill it up with something other than dirt. And what is that, kids? That's right, cow poop. Steer manure. I love filling it in a hole with this because it's good, healthy, organic compost. It gives it the fertilizer it needs without giving it too much fertilizer. So we want to put some down in the hole, compact it, put this plant right there. And see how low that is? That's what I was talking about. I want it to stay low. I don't want this real high because I don't want it to block the view that this home has of the river. As of lately, Legacy 5 has, I call it a new tenor. He's not really new. He's been there for about a year. But his name is Gus Gacious. Good gracious, Gus Gacious. Now, what's neat about this guy is he's from this area. Now, I live in a little town called Waterford, but I went to a school called Ceres Christian High School. And it just so happens that Gus, his father, was the pastor of the church where the school was, and he actually started this school in the little town called Ceres. It's just around Modesto, California, right in the dead center of California. So he actually started this school, and that's where I ended up graduating from. So I always tell Scott Fowler, Scott, man, you hired the wrong guy from Ceres. Not Gus, it's supposed to be Chris. No, I'm just kidding. I couldn't sing tenor anyway, not unless it was like a tag team tenor where I could tag out. So we've got this one in. We'll need to put some bark, bring some of the bark back. It just so happens I've got an extra bag of bark we're going to need to put over this. And we've got one more agapantha to put over just a few feet down. Let's do that right now. So here we are, right here. I've got a hole dug for the next agapantha, the Peter Pan agapantha. We're going to throw it in here. So we've got the agapantha right here. We're going to start putting the fertilizer. Let's talk about some of the other members of Legacy 5. Of course, Roger Bennett is no longer with us, one of the original members, but the other original member, or the original founder, I should say, is Scott Fowler. Now, Scott Fowler has become one of the greatest leads in Southern Gospel music. He's always in the top 5 on the Singing News fan charts, fan awards, and it's always great to hear him sing. Also, he's become a great MC on stage, and that's really what you want. Southern Gospel is so much more than just singing and singing hard and singing high and having great soundtracks along to back you up. What you need is somebody who can connect with the people. And of course, Scott Fowler into politics and conservative politics, politics that support Christian causes and support the foundations that this country was built upon. And to be perfectly honest, I agree with him that this country has, as of late, taken a bad course. And Scott Fowler is one of the ministers, if you will, out there preaching the gospel of getting this country back to its original roots, and those original roots are founded in Jesus Christ. If you notice behind me, there's some tulips. So let's talk about tulip care and a little bit more about Legacy 5. Now, what I was just zooming in on was the head of these tulips. Now, I got these tulips, today's April the 1st, but when I got this particular flower was, I bought it on Valentine's Day. Brought it home to my wife. They were nice purple tulips. She loves purple, so I planted them right here next to this rock so it had a nice backdrop. Well, of course, the petals are off of the tulip right now. So what happens is, after the petals disappear, it starts forming a seed pod. Now, if you want your tulips to continue to come back, what you have to do is take this seed pod, go about 1 inch down, and snap it off just like that. You take care of that, and what that does is it allows the roots to save and store all their energy for next season. Otherwise, what they do is they take all the food, they send it into this seed pod, they make it larger, they make it bigger, and what happens is all the food goes up into here, and it's no good next year. So what we want to do is make sure that this tulip comes back next year. Now, tulips have been known to only last about 3 years, but you might be able to squeeze another year or 2 out of them if you take this precaution. Now, a couple other members of Legacy 5 are from a place called West Monroe, Louisiana. Scott Howard and Glen Dustin are both from a little city called West Monroe, Louisiana. And they never knew each other. No, I'm just kidding. They knew each other. But when they left to join Legacy 5, 30% of West Monroe's population disappeared. Yeah, it's not a real big town. But anyway, these two fellas are great Southern Gospel gentlemen, great Southern Gospel singers. Now, Scott Howard, one of the things that he's really good at is telling stories. If you want to hear great stories from the road, you need to talk to Scott Howard, because he tells the best, and he tells the funniest. Now, Glen Dustin, if you've heard Legacy 5, you know that Glen Dustin is a great bass singer. One of the best bass singers in the business these days. Love to hear him sing. They do a song called I've Been Changed featuring Glen Dustin. And what a great testimony. And he always says, this is my testimony. Glen's testimony of how he was in sin and darkness, but God changed him, took him, turned him around, and made him a new creation. And he has been changed, and that's what that song's about. What a great uplifting song for all Christians to really be able to point to and say, this is what my life is all about. One of my favorite songs that Legacy 5 does is You'll See What Faith Does. And now that is a great song, but the lyrics in it are fantastic. But what I really like is the singing. The singing makes that song incredible. Whoever wrote that, the melody just flowed so well together with the music that they had, and what a fantastic ending. That's one of my favorite songs. Now over here, right next to me, is a blueberry bush. Now, one of the most important things about blueberry bushes, planting them, is this, that you have one more right there. Now, right behind me is another blueberry bush, and what you need to do for blueberries, if you want to have really good, tasty blueberries, is have 2 different varieties. You can't have just one shrub. You have to have them cross-pollinate. And there's so many thousands of different blueberry varieties that it doesn't take much. You just go down to the gardening center like Lowe's, pick you up a blueberry shrub, pick you up another one. They might be right next to each other, but they're going to be different enough to where you get a good blueberry crop. Now, the other thing is when the blueberries do come, you're going to need to set up something to scare away birds, because birds like blueberries and they will eat all of your blueberries. So if you don't want that, you need to put something like that, like a pie pan or some reflective tape, attach it to the branches so that it flows in the wind, keeps the birds away, because really, unless you're just putting them up to feed the birds, you need to put those up to keep the birds away so that you have a pretty good crop. Well, thanks again for joining us on the Southern Gospel Gardener. I am Chris Henry, and I hope you enjoyed talking about Legacy 5, and I hope you get a chance to go out and see them in concert, because as I've told many people before, there's no one better live than Legacy 5. No one puts on a better show than they do. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to some of their music today, as well as learning about some Peter Pan, agapanthus, tulips, and some blueberry bushes. Oh, and just some information. I know a lot of people tune in just to get some extra information about the groups. One thing that you need to know about Glen Dustin is this. He's a big Yankees fan. And man, that is an absolute shame, Mr. Dustin. That's an absolute shame. Thanks for joining us again. We'll see you next time on the Southern Gospel Gardener.